All right, welcome to the Glide Academy podcast. I am your host, Ez Chandra, and on this episode, we're going to be talking about building demand through customer experience with Craig Atkinson. Craig, thank you so much for coming on the show. Real pleasure to have you here, mate.
You're welcome.
Awesome.
It's good to be here.
Yeah, great. Look, I'm going to do a quick intro so people know, our audience knows who you are and a bit about your background and all that sort of stuff.
Sure.
So Craig Atkinson is the Group Manager at E-commerce for Thermomix in Australia and New Zealand. For over 15 years, Craig has achieved success in apparel designing for Billabong, Rusty and Quicksilver, some amazing brands. In 2013, Craig returned to Perth to work with leading WA importer Auswide Consumer Products, also known as ACP, producing brands for eBay, Amazon, and your role there was really sourced products on the ground in China, and then use virtual teams in the Philippines to upload them onto Magento and all that sort of stuff. So it's really cool. Nowadays, Craig uses his creative thinking to manage leading teams in website development, digital marketing, automation flows, and additional, Craig is responsible for creating an exclusive line of accessories for Thermomix. So a pure play direct to consumer, Craig, and private label called the Mix Shop. So really interesting to learn more about that.
Certainly.
Cool. So, I mean, we'll go more and deeper into, a bit about you through all the topics and stuff we're going to discuss today. But the first topic I'd like to chat about is more about Thermomix, and because it's got a peculiar type of business model. Could you tell us a little bit more about the Thermomix model and how it works?
Yeah, well, it's a very unique model that's been around for years, and what was originally known as a party plan business, where people get together socially and talk about these products similar to Tupperware or Avon. But now as social media has become more and more, it's connected us more and more. I like to refer to it as social selling, and this is what our consultants do, is they connect with their customers, whether it's virtually nowadays or directly.
Yeah, right. So your party groups are done virtually as well nowadays.
As COVID hit at the start of this year, we had to pivot really quickly on how to adapt, and our team come together and we just, figured out ways of connecting with customers via Zoom, via Facebook, and it was a major change for the business.
Yeah, interesting. And also, to create a party, there's a lot of work involved. You've got to get people organised. You've got to get them all into one location at one time.
Yeah.
Do you find that with this adoption of technology and going on to, I guess you're doing Zoom events and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Is that accelerated the growth of, the take-up of the product and so forth?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We refer to it as cooking experiences.
Yeah.
So where in the past we used to get together and explore the possibilities of what the machine can do face to face, but as COVID hit, that wasn't possible, so we had to quickly adapt to ways of connecting and retraining our team of consultants on how to connect via Zoom or Facebook and similar technologies.
So you do lose a bit of that the human aspect, and also obviously the touching and feeling of the machine and getting to know how it works and all that sort of stuff. But when you're on Zoom, are you still able to translate the power of what the Thermomix machine can do?
It's always better when you get those aha moments when you peer into the actual machine. But during COVID, we had no other choice. We had to adopt, and the best that we could. And what we found is that sales increased considerably during that time. As a result, amazing result for our consultant team, being able to pivot so quickly.
Yeah.
But everyone knew we had that moment where we all had to come together and really decide what we're going to do.
Awesome. Could you tell us a bit more about the model as well? Because you don't really sell direct to consumer, so it's a little bit tricky.
Yeah.
But there are aspects. There's two sides of the business, right? You were mentioning.
Yeah. So there are two sides to the business. There's the machine side of the business, where we have consultants, up to 2,500 consultants at one time, selling the machine
across Australia and New Zealand.
And so that's one side, a big part of the business, and then the other side we've got the direct to consumer accessories line, which is called the Mix Shop.
Okay.
So,
awesome.
So it's running at two kind of speeds of business, but
and obviously people are buying the accessories already have a Thermomix. So they're just wanting to supplement that with additional products. So it's more of an upsell type.
Yeah, exactly.
strategy.
So as you know, when you buy a new gadget or a new toy or anything like that, you want to get the accessories to support your experience. And because we know who the customers are, we're not looking for that. We're not prospecting as much as other brands. We know our customers, so we can find them.
Yeah, cool. So we'll come back to the mix shop later on, and that's the accessories component. But in regards to the founder as well, I think there's a bit of a story behind Grace, is it?
Yeah. Grace Mazur in late 1990s was in Poland with her friend, and their daughter was cooking up meals, and she was, I believe at the time, about 7, 8, 9, something like that. But was a bit of a moment where she was like, wow, this machine's incredible. Hadn't been sold in Australia, and she applied for be the distributor in Australia, and it's since been, I think, the biggest, most successful distributor worldwide for Thermomix.
Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah, so as at the early 2000s, people's diets, I think, in Australia started to change. We were looking at shows like MasterChef and making foods from scratch, and people wanted to live healthier, and make things rather than prepackaged, and kind of coincided, I think, with that.
Yeah, so the machine's been around for a while. I guess it's obviously been fine-tuned over the years.
The most amazing thing that most people don't know about the Thermomix is that the first Thermomix was 50 years ago. It was developed in 1971.
That's amazing.
And so 50 years of product development and improvement has got it to the stage now where we've got almost like an iPad at the front of the machine, embedded into the machine.
Right.
It's connected to, of course, to the Wi-Fi, but it connects to a step-by-step stage cooking where even my daughter who's 7 years old can follow the steps, pour in ingredients, it measures it up to the 1 gram increments, and shows her, even with videos, on what's the next step. When she's making pancakes, she's watching on the screen, get a ladle, put it onto the frying pan. So awesome. It's pretty amazing.
That's really inspirational, and it's quite safe, obviously, for kids. And
really safe,
for anyone in the family to be involved in.
Yeah, all the safety features.
I think you're selling it to me, mate, already. No, that's awesome. So, I mean, obviously, the other thing is the digital transformation as well for the machine itself, and seeing it improve year after year. And obviously, you've got touch screens now, but then there's also that transition from a digital perspective on how best you can engage with the customer. And that's changing every year as well, isn't it?
Whether it's on the side of our e-commerce or on the side of the machine. And just further to that, connecting to retailers like Woolworths is something, there's a project happening right now where people can plan out what they want to do for the week in regards to cooking, and then click, do I have these ingredients? And you can tick off the ones that you have in the cupboard, and then the rest goes straight to Woolworths to click and collect or get them delivered directly to you.
Right. So you've built that integration.
This is happening right now. We're testing it.
That's awesome. And is that through like a website portal or something?
So we
have your own login profile or something?
We have what's called the cookiedoo.com.au site, which has over 50,000 recipes. Triple tested, so they're from around the world in multiple languages. So often you can find what you need on there to create, most of the meals that.
So I guess you don't just get the machine, you get the content and that resource, right? And you see that a lot now with brands that are supplementing what they're offering with really awesome content. And that's part of the subscription. You kind of see it with Optus and their sports subscription. And now they've got the gym, and you've got like the trainer, the personal training videos and all that sort of stuff that comes with the subscription. It's not just about subscribing to watch the footy or anything like that.
Apple TV.
Apple TV,
it's all the
so
different services.
It's fascinating to see that you're kind of, you've been building that for a while, but that's been a key aspect of your growth, is the supplementing content. And right now Thermomix is one of the most connected kitchen devices. When we think about what's in the kitchen that connects, I mean, you might get a fridge that has internet on it, but there's nothing that really connects and shows you the different stages and how to cook and become a better chef. Kind of taking the customer through a journey, isn't it? That's the experience that you're talking about.
Well, it's actually, whether you're a pro chef and you want to get pro results, a lot of chefs use our product, or if you're a novice to cooking, it can show you via the video on the screen the exact steps on how to do things and how to measure in, when to stop, next stage. It's really follow the bouncing ball. It's really incredible.
And I think, I mean, at the end of the day, it creates that experience that the customer's feeling really empowered.
Yeah.
And like almost they're like a bit of a hero because
Yeah.
they've gone in, they've done something.
Yeah.
Although it sort of tells them step by step, it gives them a bit of guidance and empowerment to kind of keep doing it.
Yeah.
Encouragement. So I think that is an emotional experience that a customer goes through.
Yeah.
And then essentially they're going to just want to keep doing it and then refer the product onto other people as well.
Yeah, word of mouth is one of our strongest marketing points, you know. But you're right, you know, everybody has to eat every day. If you can make it quicker, faster, and more nutritious, you know exactly what's going into your meals and know exactly what's going into your body. You know, people these days want to know exactly. They don't want the chemicals and the preservatives and all the other stuff that...
Yeah, right. So you promote a lot of fresh ingredients?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I guess that's where the world is moving towards, especially in Australia. We're very now pro organics and sustainable uses of the way we grow food and use food and all that. So that's actually a really good time now, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And people want to make from scratch. They, like I said, don't want the preservatives, the colorings and all that. They just, and even what we've noticed during the last couple of months is, you know, foods are immunity boosting. You know, people are exploring that a lot more, you know.
Yeah. And I guess the interesting thing is that we often think that buying ingredients from the shop speeds up the process, like buying a can of tomatoes or whatever speeds up the process. But it's not healthy for you.
No.
But then what you can do is buy a machine like Thermomix, get all the raw ingredients, but the machine does the processing for you. Yeah. Which also speeds it up.
Yeah.
As well, but it's healthy.
It gives you those chef-like results that you can't, like, some of the stuff I've made, I'm like, man, I'd never make honeycomb, but I can make it really easy in this machine.
Yeah, right.
And that's just one example, but like awesome. I said, even my 7-year-old daughter really loves. Last night she wanted to make frozen yogurt like ice cream, so she's
But it's interesting because I mean that generation, they love digital, they love gadgets, and because you guys are more interactive now, you're showing content. I think you're really gonna start getting this whole wave of generation coming through using the product. Yeah, it's not just your older generation; it's also your younger crowd coming through. Yeah, absolutely. Is that what you're finding?
Yeah, for sure. You know, it's whether you want to, you're not into tech, but you love the simplicity. Very much similar to Apple products. They're just easy to use. Yes. They just get the job done. You don't have to tweak with them too much. It just does what it says.
Well, the kids love the iPad. They can't bloody get away from it.
Yeah, it's not right.
Okay, cool. So on that, going into sort of like the digital strategy and what you do, can you tell us about like the type of marketing strategies that Thermomix sort of undertakes at the moment? Yeah.
So just to preface that, I work within a larger team of many different experts, particularly within marketing. Yep. Within my team, there's 3 other team members that work on product development and procurement. So I have to be clear that it's and there's a whole business transformation team that work within the larger team at Thermomix. I'm just a small piece of the puzzle. But in saying that, we're all involved in different parts of the digital marketing, and we work with agencies to make sure that, whether it's Google or Facebook, primarily in that order, is the results we've been getting. We're putting together different ads, different campaigns, and trying and testing, and that's all a part of the creativity.
Yeah, and I think you're quite metrics driven, and although you're not, apart from the mix shop, you're not really transaction based. You can't really buy it online. So what point of measurement do you use to gauge to see if a campaign's working or you're getting new customers or new prospects?
We're looking at the metrics, Facebook primarily for machine, top of funnel, awareness for the Thermomix, and then as it goes over into consultants, we have Salesforce connected, and we're using the analytics through a program called Einstein.
Yeah, right. Amazing. And in terms of the metric that you're using, is it like a expression of interest or something like that?
Expression of interest,
so they go onto the website, they'll engage, they may go away, come back, but ultimately the goal for you is to get them to submit that form. For us, click-through rates, of course, expression of interest on the website. But we have a very unique business, is that consultants, it's very sometimes social, so a lot of activities happen offline.
a lot of talking, discussing, consideration. So these different touch points, we're making sure that we're giving the information at a timely manner, different flows.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Welcome flows, series, and
so you're really into that marketing automation, email marketing, keeping them through that sort of process for them to trickle them down to the buying decision and actually put in an EOI. It's not just like just coming straight to the website and going straight to the form.
Yeah, that's right. We use Klaviyo, which is connected to our Shopify Plus
website,
environment of e-commerce, and we've got different flows that we work, different welcome series flows or expression of interest flows, right through to we're working on one right now, which is a very extensive cart abandonment flow.
Yeah. Okay. And are you finding that you're constantly optimizing those workflows, or do you kind of feel like you've got them down really well and they're fine-tuned and it's working?
I don't think you ever really can say that you've got it nailed. You constantly got to keep testing and trying, and within these Klaviyo flows or branches there's different options, and we test 50% of the market with this option and 50% with that option, and we look at what works, because at the end of the day you could have an opinion on what you think would work, but really the data is it's very hard to argue with the data.
Of course. The other thing is with the sort of the strategies that you're deploying with the content marketing as well, how do you organize that? Because there's recipes, there's documents or video, there's images. Do you have like a team that looks after that sort of side for you?
Big team, and whether it's incentives or editorial, we come together regularly, and talk about what are the big stories, what are the big themes, what are we going to get behind. We often look at seasonality of produce, and tell a story around that. We might look at new product drops to the accessories and how we're going to wrap that up with events. Like last week we just had World Bread Day, so we're telling a story, and nowadays people are loving making sourdough, so we've got the accessories to help them get those great results with the Thermomix.
Do you have like a campaign example? Like I think you mentioned something about some success you've had with a joint venture with like PayPal, like a joint campaign. Yeah.
So at the start of this year, it was around March. I was having a chat with the guys from PayPal and said to them what's been happening, what's new. Our account manager over in Sydney. And is there any opportunity to do some marketing with them? And they said to us that a rather larger international streaming service had pulled out of a marketing opportunity which was site-wide, and they were looking for expression of interest. And they said to us that to actually put something, we had 24 hours basically to put something to them. So I talked to our marketing team about what we had used just recently, and it was we had put out an EDM which was really successful about you're staying at home with the kids, and it was during that time when everyone was
in lockdown.
In lockdown. You're staying at home with the kids. Here's some things to bust the boredom. And so what we were able to do is reuse that, repurpose it into a landing page. And the marketing team put together a landing page within 24 hours, and we had that over to Sydney, and we were in the consideration with some of the biggest retailers here in Australia. We found out the next week that to get prepared, because we were going site-wide banners, login pages, and going out to 4.2 million people on their EDM list.
In the Australasian
region. And when PayPal told us this, I looked at our promotional calendar and noticed that it happened to coincide with the first time that we had been involved with Click Frenzy. So on one day we had massive amounts of traffic from PayPal, and also it was the first time we did Click Frenzy, which really resonated with our customers. We had like over 120,000 sessions on the day.
That's crazy. How'd the website take it?
Well, Shopify didn't miss a beat.
That's awesome.
I spoke to the guys at Shopify the week before. Said, look, there's going to be a heap of traffic coming to the site, and they were like, no problem. Like, that's
We'll go more into Shopify because it's obviously a tech platform that you really adopt over at Thermomix. But you also mentioned around like a bit of an education campaign, because obviously I think you ran something around that. Or was that in relation to PayPal?
The educational, we're constantly, we want to make sure that we're educating people about how to use the machine and get the most out of it. We don't want people to just put it in the cupboard, So
but was that tailored a little bit to like that lockdown period?
That was, we wanted to be really, relevant at the time, and I think that's what resonated so much with PayPal. We put together a page, and with Shopify, we're able to spin up pages. We're not a development team.
Yes.
So we're not coding up pages. We're a marketing team.
Yes.
So we're able to get in there, use the imagery to tell the story.
Yeah, and that's the thing, isn't it? Like, there's a lot of marketing teams that are almost like they're almost bound to this platform or this tech system, which actually slows them down. They've got to wait for the web developer to set it up or do this, and then they can go in there and put the content in. But really the future of marketing teams is really based on speed.
Yeah.
And like having a tech, like a landing page template or something that's all ready to go. So when you have moments like this, you can just jump in there, create however many pages and just load it up full of content. And you're not relying on any third-party person or whatever to do that work.
I mean, if we had to do it, we wouldn't have won that opportunity. And it was an opportunity you can't pay for. Like they didn't. It was free to us, but
exactly.
Within 3 days of sales, we had achieved our whole monthly budget. So that gives you a kind of an understanding of how powerful having the ability to spin up your own pages.
Yes.
Within 24 hours to tell a story.
It's unbelievable.
Apps
how
like
many pages did you create out of
there was just one page.
Oh, okay,
It was highly customized to PayPal. What we actually did was we created a script in the cart for PayPal. The PayPal offer was just for the PayPal users, and they could get 20% off that collection. They had to use PayPal at the cart, which we scripted up, and it made it more relevant, so it wasn't open to abuse from other.
Fair enough. So going into your Shopify platform, I think you're in a bit of a transition at the moment. So you've worked with all sorts of website builds over the years, but you've probably worked on custom builds versus template builds. And this is a bit of a topic I like to talk about because I guess there's still agencies or there's still companies building custom websites. And then there's template-based websites as well. What's your kind of thoughts on that?
Yeah, look, we've just come through an experience where we're working on it's a headless solution. To make it really simple to understand is that we wanted that functionality to be able to spin up pages really quickly within a very lean marketing team and e-commerce team to be able to make changes to the site without having to go to developers. The company that we work with created for us, it was a custom built solution which for us created this version of Shopify which wasn't native liquid theme. To break down the technical aspects
That's all right,
that.
man. You can go technical too.
to basically what it was doing was creating minified JavaScript versions of pages that we couldn't edit. But even we were working with other vendors, for example, Akendo or 460, which we use for our Instagram integration. They just couldn't update any of the code because it was just so tied up on these pages that were created by React servers and and
customized JavaScript code and stuff like that.
And you what can you do? You constantly got to go back. Now this agency wasn't as efficient as at the pace that we'd like to move. So for us, it was okay. How do we get it back to native theme? Use the ratified Shopify apps to create landing pages on the fly, like Shogun.
Yep.
So that's what we're using.
And I think like at the end of the day, speed is at the heart of your decision making, you know what I mean? And I think that's the case for any brand or customer moving forward, or someone, or marketing manager in that role.
It's everything.
It's like, if you're going to get a website, if you're going to go e-commerce or whatever, put speed at the heart of your decision making, because if you can't get it out fast, then don't use it or do something else. Because it's going to come back and bite you later on.
Absolutely. Google Web Vitals is how we track, and we were agonizingly, pages would load super slow. A lot of pages were, the way that the page loaded on these React servers, we'd have it saying currently out of stock, and then it would flip into the actual page, the CSS would load, and the page would come in. So as an e-commerce manager, I was losing my mind, and so it was agonizing. But I have to say, now we've cleared that problem.
Yeah, I mean, and even like with us as an agency, we've gone down that path as well of learning. Obviously you do learn through the mistakes you make, but we tried the custom build thing, and it gets quite expensive. It takes a long time to get things done. Like, a project can take 6 months to build, what I mean? That sort of thing. And by the time you get the website up, it's already obsolete. Like, it's almost out of date now. You need to slipstream into these tech companies like Shopify.
Exactly,
Amazing, and they're constantly updating. And they've got the best developers, and their landing pages are already set up for conversion. Like, they know where to put the buttons and the images and the copy and all that sort of stuff. You don't have to do anything. You just have to buy the template and repurpose it. You know what I mean?
For us, it wasn't as easy as buying the template because we had such a strong brand style guide that we needed to follow.
Which is often what gets in the way a little bit, but I think there's a workaway around that.
So building that now into standard Shopify, a liquid theme, is running super fast. We stripped out a lot of the apps that we used because, as we know, apps are super easy to install, and that starts to bog down your Shopify. So that's another tip I'd recommend, is just trying to use Shopify line scripts or the native Shopify is something that we've learned the hard way. Don't just install app because you think it's quicker or
easier. And I think the same is with WordPress as well. Like Shopify obviously for e-commerce, WordPress is similar in the sense that it's template based, and there's heaps of themes out there. You can go overboard with plugins and modules and stuff like that. Really easy to install, but then it can stuff the website up, especially in terms of speed and coding. So you still need to work with developers to kind of help set it up for you. But I think, just relying on more template-based themes and websites is definitely the way to go moving forward. And it's interesting to see a big brand like Thermomix is moving towards that. Sort of, it's gone like full circle in the sense.
So we're our using standard Shopify liquid theme, but using our own brand template for our theme. It's not something that's just a pre-built theme that we've tweaked.
And what I also find is people are buying themes, and then almost bastardizing the theme, like changing the layout. And, I mean, you can change fonts and stuff, but even the fonts that you use, you've got to be careful. And you see, sometimes it's just best to stick with that structure they've given you, but just obviously brand it up a bit more towards you.
If you're starting up, a Shopify, it's super easy to grab a theme, install it. My recommendation, I agree, coming from a design background, is don't put too much display fonts in there and mess it up, because it just starts to
because you get those. So where did you get that theme from? And then they'll tell me what it is, and I'll Google the theme. And the theme's beautiful, it's like, it's really nice, and then I'll look at their website and I'll go, what did you do to it?
Exactly.
Cool. So the other thing is product development, and then you've obviously started the Mix Shop, which is what this Shopify program is around.
So I didn't start the Mix Shop. The Mix Shop has been around for a long time, selling accessories. Well, not accessories, accessories and parts primarily. So we did a lot of purchasing from local wholesalers primarily.
But you've transitioned it to this Shopify platform.
So when I say, when you say I mean the complete team that I work with respect to the guys who I work with, because we are a big team. But we worked transferring from the WooCommerce version or WordPress before that, which is a custom one. And then when the time was right, we moved over to Shopify Plus. And
so with the product development, that's what I want to go into in terms of the topic. You were expanding the product lines, is that right?
So from my experience of working with Oswide, ACP, a lot of time was spent sourcing product from Asia, primarily China. So going to trade fairs up there, finding factories, connecting, knowing what the regions where things are made. and having a network that we knew could develop for us product for eBay and Amazon. We started at Thermomix to develop more direct with manufacturers because we could meet the minimum order quantities.
Yeah, okay.
And that allowed us to have more profitability.
So you kind of set up that process, and
that's we started to
obviously did that before COVID-19.
Yeah, there was a bit of development happening for certain items, consultant items, but we really started to scale that a lot more. And working with some of the best manufacturers in the region, like I said, to cut out the intermediaries, wholesalers, and go from direct from manufacturing straight to consumer, so we can increase the quality and be able to work with the profitability so we can run some promotions that still make it profitable for the business.
And before that, were there other businesses that were selling the accessories like on other shops?
Yeah, there's a lot of, you might see them on Google. They appear to be Thermomix, or they leverage a lot or use our brand without permission. So we really want to make sure that we're getting the message out there that this is the authentic
and that's
original.
Part of the battleground for you is to kind of like take back that market share and say, hey, well, look, we are Thermomix. We're the ones that are building the accessories. And you're going to get a good quality product.
All the accessories that we develop are tested by our recipe development team, so nothing gets passed, unless they have given it it's tested. So it's not just getting a product and putting it online. It's a lot of testing that goes.
And I love that. You're actually testing what the product's going to give in terms of the customer's experience before you actually launch it.
We're
that's
just
the
not
heart of what it is that you're doing.
We're just not putting items online and getting quick sales here. We want people to have a great experience with the products that we develop, so then they come back and know that they can get quality products.
No worries. And then the other thing is, like, you've got a bit of experience managing creative teams as well. Obviously from your background with the surf brands, Australian surf brands like Billabong and Rusty and so forth. How did you tie in that experience from the fashion or that industry through to what you're doing now and the way you communicate with creative teams?
Whether you as a part of apparel or clothing design, you're constantly, every new season, you're developing a new version or testing and trying, so it's constantly reinventing, and that kind of mindset of trying and experimenting or like A/B testing is well suited to whether it's product development or web development or generally marketing. And particularly as we started to experience COVID, the company, we took less of a polished approach to our presentation. It started to just be who we are authentic, and particularly with Facebook Live events, just showing the real people behind the brand. I was even in one of the events talking about products. One of the guys who works in marketing, he also happens to do bartending, so he got on and talked about how you could use the Thermomix for creating great cocktails. Whether it's they're the kind of things that are just real and authentic.
So it's not just obviously the recipes and the content, it's the people behind it, creating that sense of authenticity.
Exactly right. But back to the creativity thing. It's you're constantly testing. Nothing is you're always looking at the possibilities. What if we tried that? And whether it's product development, right down to placement of logos or color, fabrication or different materials, effects, matte, shiny. Like thinking about what works and what are the point of differences in product that's going to make you stand out from a sea of Amazon generic. What is that one thing that is going to be different?
The holy grail item.
Exactly right. We 3D mold items like glass jars to fit within the Thermomix Varoma. These are specifically fall right within the perfect parameters of this bowl that sits on top of the Thermomix. Allows people to make fermented yogurts. So, developing products and looking at 3D molds and how does it all work and how does it all fit within the decisions that we make as creatives. You know,
that's fantastic. Yeah.
Right through to, you know, flows and automations within Klaviyo.
Yeah.
We're looking at, you know, okay, what's the different messaging and
and it's interesting. I mean, the methodology or the approach has not really changed. It's like you said, it's this, you've come from that apparel background where it's quite cutthroat. Yeah. And you've always got to be on trend. Yeah. And Rusty and Billabong's success was really based on testing lots of different line items and different apparel and designs and stuff like that. And then obviously they'll find the one thing that just takes off. Yeah. That has effectively been applied to what you're doing now at Thermomix, but also from a campaign perspective and digital marketing perspective as well. Yeah. Kind of applying that same methodology. Yeah.
One thing that apparel design taught me is that you need to back yourself often, you know, with ideas and believe in yourself, because you're creating. It's never been done before. So you've got to sometimes, you know, back yourself, like I said. And it's similar to, you know, if every time I had to make a decision on a product, or whether it's working with the marketing team on different ad campaigns or automation flows, you know, sometimes we just got to make a call. We just can't go around and asking everyone, do you think this is right? So it's about believing in yourself and backing yourself on.
And the other aspect of that is like whether you work in an organization that lets you do that too.
Yeah, exactly.
Because so many times you have great ideas, but then you have to go through 4 or 5 people to get approval. Yeah. And it's so hard to innovate in that sort of environment. You know?
Yeah. So. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. That's the kind of double-edged, you know, of it. But I've always worked in large companies like Billabong and Quicksilver and managed creative teams.
But it seems like that's their culture, is to really help to cultivate that sort of ideation type strategy.
Yeah. Yeah, our director, Grace Mazur, she's quite innovative and loves to try and looking at new products, new tech and new ideas. One of the items that we helped launch in Australia was the Meter product, which is a Bluetooth connected thermometer. So we were creating recipes on the Thermomix, and then as you cooked these items, there was a Bluetooth connected probe that goes into the meats, whether you're cooking in a barbecue or an oven, and it can give you that perfectly cooked. So Grace was the one that found that. So she's constantly pushing.
And I guess it's about that precision-based cooking, isn't it? Like it's really coming down to that science, not just on gut feel, but like helping people with information and data so that they can get a perfect product every time. Not just sometimes. Because you do that. Sometimes you follow a recipe and sometimes it's good and sometimes it's not so good. But really there's a science behind it, and if you just follow it exactly to the T,
as you said, the data is where it's at, right? That's pretty much what we do. But you're right. When you're cooking a brisket and it's been on for 7 or 9 hours or 10 hours, how do you know by pressing it that it's ready? You can't tell, really. No. But the data will tell you the probe, the connection. And this is what we love, you know, these kind of ideas, these ways of turning people that are, you know, we're not pro chefs, but we can get pro chef results with the help of this tech.
Yeah, awesome. That's
somebody once said to me, you know, or I read on an Instagram post that, you know, the Thermomix for the kitchen and cooking is like the washing machine. We have to wash our clothes every day, almost. We have a machine to do that. You can do it by hand, but we've got a machine for that. It's kind of similar with Thermomix, right? You have to eat every day. It just makes it a whole lot easier.
Yeah, fair enough. The other thing is, just final topic, like how do you sort of, with creative thinking, because I think that's a bit of a strength of yours, and that constant coming up with ideas and stuff, how do you sort of apply creative thinking to digital marketing and what you do, you know, on a sort of weekly basis? How do you
so looking at different products, different campaigns, editorial, we often you know, working within a big team, and we're brainstorming and we're talking about what it is, how we're going to incentivize or make people aware of the products. So we're constantly, it really is a creative environment of talking about themes and different angles, or people from the recipe development team, or people from whether it's marketing or e-commerce team coming together and just discussing. So it's that kind of creativity
Sounds like a really good community that you've got. It really encourages that.
When you say the community, the culture at Thermomix is incredible. It's one of the most amazing teams for, everyone respectfully works together to come together to create these campaigns, and we all have a lot of fun doing it. It's having that respect and that culture that's been developed quite actively within the team to bring out the best in, so that's why I always mention the team that I work with.
Awesome. Well, awesome, Craig. That's the end of our podcast show. Covered quite a few topics and I really enjoyed it. How do people find out about you or get to you if they want to know more information?
You can find me on LinkedIn.
That's the best way.
That's probably the best way. Check out our website as well. Not that I'm on there, but feel free to hop in there and check out the tech, what we're running, because we're really proud of it. And I think we're doing some amazing things particularly in the Shopify space, connecting our consultants, which are separate businesses, to a Shopify environment.
Right.
So there's a lot of tech that's happening behind that, the business development.
I might have to get you on the show again just to talk about that. But cool, mate. Thanks for coming on. And that's the end of our show. And please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks for your time, and hope you enjoyed it. Cheers.